I woke up in a nursing home I'd never seen before. My name is Charles Mitchell. I'm 68 years old and 3 days ago I thought I still had a loving family. I'd given my son Timothy $280,000 to buy his dream house, paid my granddaughter Zoe's entire college tuition, and signed every paper he put in front of me because I trusted him with my life. What I didn't know was that while I was showing them unconditional love, they were planning to steal everything I'd worked for and lock me away like a broken piece of furniture. But here's what they didn't know about their old man. Before I became their victim, I was a structural engineer who always had a backup plan. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you're watching from, because this is the story of how I turned the tables on the family that betrayed me. 3 years ago I held my dying wife Sarah's hand in room 314 at Methodist Hospital. The machines were beeping slower, her breathing was getting shallow, and she made me promise something that would change everything. "Charlie," she whispered, "promise me you'll always be there for the kids." I squeezed her fingers. "Always, honey. Always." Sarah passed away that Tuesday morning at 6:47 a.m. I kept my promise. Maybe I kept it too well. After the funeral, Timothy came to me with tears in his eyes. "Dad, you shouldn't be alone in this big house. Why don't you move closer to us? We want to take care of you." I thought about Sarah, about my promise, about being closer to my granddaughter Zoe. "Okay, son. Let's do it." I made a promise that day that would nearly destroy my life. Timothy was 42, my only child, and he'd always made me proud. Computer sales manager, nice house in Riverside, married to Melissa who worked as a registered nurse at the local hospital. Then there was Zoe, sweet 16-year-old Zoe with Sarah's smile and my stubborn streak. She was everything to me. When I decided to move closer, I put my 4-bedroom colonial on the market, sold it for $890,000, not bad for a house I'd bought in 1983 for $67,000. I found a nice 2-bedroom condo just 8 minutes from Timothy's place, perfect for a widower starting over. "This is going to be great, Dad," Timothy said as we signed the papers. "Family dinners every Sunday. Zoe can come over and do homework. We'll really be a family again." Melissa hugged me tight. "We're so happy you're here, Charles. We're going to take such good care of you." I felt warm, loved, part of something again. The signs were there, but I ignored them. The first sign came 2 months after I moved in. Timothy called me on a Thursday evening, his voice tight and stressed. "Dad, I need to talk to you about something. Can you come over?" I drove to his house, found him pacing in the kitchen while Melissa washed dishes without looking at us. "I'm in a bit of a financial bind," he said. "The market's been tough, commissions are down, we're behind on the mortgage." I could see the worry lines around his eyes. "How much do you need?" "It's not a loan, Dad. It's more like an investment in our family's future." That phrase should have been my first warning, but I was thinking about Sarah's promise, about being there for them. "Tell me what you need." Timothy looked relieved. "We found this amazing house, 3 bedrooms, great school district for Zoe, but we need help with the down payment." He showed me pictures on his phone, white picket fence, big yard, the American dream. "How much?" $280,000. I thought I was helping. I had no idea I was walking into a trap. The next week I wrote the check, $280,000, my life savings handed over to help my son buy his dream house. "Dad, I can't thank you enough," Timothy said, taking the check. "This means everything to us." Melissa kissed my cheek. "You're the best father-in-law in the world." No paperwork, no loan agreement, just family helping family. 3 months later they moved into their new house, big housewarming party, all the neighbors came. Timothy introduced me as the man who made this all possible. I felt proud, useful, like I was honoring Sarah's memory. Then Zoe started her junior year at Jefferson High, private SAT prep, college application fees, advanced placement courses. "Grandpa," she said one afternoon, "college is going to be so expensive, Mom and Dad are worried they can't afford to send me somewhere good." Tuition at State University was $23,000 a year, private colleges were twice that. I didn't hesitate. "Don't worry, sweetheart. Grandpa will take care of it." I opened a college fund, $45,000 for her first year, another $20,000 for expenses. Every dollar I gave felt like love until I learned what love meant to them. Timothy's business venture started 6 months later. "Dad, I've got an opportunity. A friend of mine is starting a consulting company, high-end computer systems for medical practices. It's going to be huge." He showed me a business plan, projected profits, charts and graphs that looked impressive. "I just need seed money, $150,000 to get in on the ground floor." I was hesitant. That was a lot of money. "Think of it as an investment in our family's future," Melissa said. "When this takes off we'll all benefit." I transferred the money. The business failed within 8 months. "Market conditions," Timothy explained. Bad timing. These things happen in business. No apology, no mention of paying me back. Then came the car. Melissa's Honda is 15 years old, Timothy said. She's driving to work in a death trap. What if something happens to her? Zoe needs her mother. He was right, safety came first. I bought Melissa a new Toyota Camry, $34,000. Weekend trips followed. Dad, the family needs to bond, make memories, ski trips to Colorado, beach vacations in Florida, always on Grandpa's credit card. The biggest mistake was thinking they saw these as gifts. Around this time I was feeling lonely in my condo. The walls felt too quiet after decades of Sarah's laughter filling our home. I decided to buy something to capture family moments, maybe record Zoe reading poetry or Timothy telling stories about his work. At Best Buy I found a Sony ICD PX470 digital recorder, small enough to fit in my palm, 57 hours of recording time. Just to capture those precious moments, I told the saleswoman. I brought it home and put it inside the old wind-up clock Sarah loved, set it on my dining room table where we had family dinners. Just family memories, I thought, something to replay when I missed their voices. I had no idea I was building a case file. The recorder had an auto-activation feature. It started recording whenever voices got loud enough. Every argument, every private conversation, every whispered plan. I didn't know it was running most of the time. What I signed next changed everything. Melissa brought up the power of attorney during Sunday dinner in March. Charles, you know how much we love you, she said, refilling my wine glass. But we worry about you living alone. I'm fine, I protested. I can take care of myself. Of course you can, Timothy said. But what if something happens? What if you have a medical emergency and we can't help because we don't have legal authority? Melissa nodded. In my work at the hospital I see this all the time, families unable to help their loved ones because of legal red tape. They had papers ready, neatly typed, official looking. It's just a safety net, Dad, just in case. The document was 12 pages long, dense legal language. I scanned through it but honestly it was mostly gibberish to me. Where do I sign? Timothy pointed to the signature line. There's a time limit on this, right? I asked, pen in hand. This doesn't last forever. Of course not, Dad, 380 days, just over a year, then it expires automatically. That signature was like signing my own death warrant, but I trusted them, I trusted my family. 3 months later I would discover they'd been planning to use it from the moment I signed. The changes started small. Timothy stopped returning my calls promptly. Used to be I'd call and he'd answer on the second ring, now it went to voicemail. Sorry, Dad, busy at work, I'll call you back, but he wouldn't call back for hours, sometimes not until the next day. When I mentioned the $280,000 loan his jaw tightened. Dad, we're going through a rough patch, the economy's tough, give us time. Time, always more time. Melissa became distant too, polite but cold, like I was a guest who'd overstayed my welcome. Sunday dinners became tense affairs, short conversations, long silences. One evening I heard voices from the kitchen while I was in their living room. The Sony recorder in my shirt pocket was running. He's going to want that money back eventually, Melissa whispered. Let him want it, Timothy replied. What's he going to do, sue his own son? They laughed. The old man won't even notice, they thought. By June the disrespect became obvious. During a family barbecue Timothy had been drinking beer since noon. His voice was getting louder, his words sharper. Dad, you know what your problem is? You're stuck in the past, you need to accept that things change. What things? I asked. Everything, this house, this family, your role in it. Maybe it's time you started thinking about downsizing. Downsizing, the first direct hint. Melissa chimed in. Charles, you're rattling around in that big condo all alone, wouldn't a smaller place be more practical? Zoe was on her phone, completely ignoring the conversation. When I tried to talk to her about school she barely looked up. Grandpa, I'm busy, she said with teenage irritation, but it was more than teenage attitude, she was pulling away deliberately. Later that night the recorder caught something that made my blood run cold. He's becoming a burden, Timothy said. A burden we can't afford anymore, Melissa replied. July brought financial manipulation. I got my credit card statement and found charges I didn't recognize, $200 at Best Buy, $800 at Target, $2,300 at some restaurant I'd never been to. I called Timothy. Dad, those were emergencies, remember you said we could use the card for emergencies? I don't remember authorizing those charges. You must have forgotten, you've been forgetting a lot of things lately. Forgetting, another warning sign. Bills arrived for services I'd never requested, a lawn care company, a housekeeping service, magazine subscriptions. Timothy, did you sign me up for these? Just helping you stay organized, Dad. You said you needed help managing things. I never said that, but every time I protested I got the same response. You're getting confused, Dad. This is exactly why we need to help you more. The recorder caught their real conversations. Just keep him confused, Timothy told Melissa. Make him doubt his own memory. The medication should help with that, Melissa replied. Medication? What medication? I started to realize they weren't protecting me from the world, they were protecting the world from knowing what they were doing to me. August brought isolation. My old friends from the engineering firm stopped calling. When I reached out, their numbers had been disconnected. Strange, I mentioned to Timothy. Not strange at all, Dad. You gave me your phone to update it, remember? I cleaned out all those old contacts. Most of those guys have passed away anyway. But I knew that wasn't true. Jim Harrison was only 65, Mike Chin was younger than me, they were alive and well last time I checked. Timothy had blocked them. My neighbor Mrs. Patterson stopped waving when she saw me, used to chat by the mailbox every few days. She's probably busy, Melissa said when I mentioned it. People have their own lives. But I overheard a different story. We told everyone he's been having episodes, Timothy said to someone on the phone, confusion, memory loss, sometimes he says inappropriate things, it's better if people keep their distance. Episodes, memory loss, inappropriate things, they were building a narrative, making people believe I was losing my mind. The final piece of their plan was already in motion. That night I heard something that changed everything. September 15th, the conversation that opened my eyes. I was supposed to be asleep in the guest room, but I couldn't sleep. The walls in Timothy's house were thin, they thought I was unconscious. Melissa had given me what she called sleep medication with dinner, but I'd only pretended to swallow it. How much longer do we have to keep this up? Melissa asked. Not long, Timothy replied. The power of attorney expires in 3 weeks, we need to move fast. And you're sure about the house? The appraisal came in at $1.5 million, after commission and closing costs we'll clear about $1.3. My condo? They were planning to sell my home. What about him? Melissa asked. Sunset Manor has an opening, I already filled out the paperwork, medical necessity, dementia concerns, Dr. Williams will sign off on it. Dr. Williams, Melissa's colleague at the hospital. And after that? After that he's their problem, we'll have enough money to pay off the house, clear our debts, and start fresh. They weren't just planning to steal from me, they were planning to dispose of me. But there were 3 things they didn't know about their old man. I woke up in a room that smelled like disinfectant and despair, beige walls, white linoleum floor, a call button next to a bed I'd never seen before, the fluorescent lights hurt my eyes, my mouth felt like cotton. I pressed the call button, a nurse in blue scrubs appeared, her name tag read Linda. Good morning, Mr. Mitchell, how are you feeling? Where am I? You're at Sunset Manor, your son brought you here last night. Sunset Manor, the nursing home from their conversation. Why? I was sleeping in my own bed. Linda's smile was professional but uncomfortable. Your son said you were having difficulties at home, that you were becoming dangerous to yourself. Dangerous to myself. I need to call my son. Of course, there's a phone in the hallway. My hands were shaking as I dialed Timothy's number, the recorder in my pocket was still running, I'd been carrying it everywhere since overhearing their plan. He answered on the 4th ring. Dad. His voice was different, cold, matter of fact. Timothy, why am I in a nursing home? Because that's where you belong now. What do you mean where I belong? Dad, you're confused, you've been having episodes, memory loss, last week you left the gas on overnight, you could have killed yourself. I never left the gas on, I'm an engineer, I check everything twice. That's not true. It is true, we can't handle you anymore, you need professional care. Professional care, the same phrase from their late-night planning session. I want to come home. This is your home now, Dad, we've made arrangements. Arrangements, like I was a piece of furniture being moved to storage. What arrangements? Dr. Williams evaluated you, medical necessity, you're not safe living alone. Dr. Williams, Melissa's colleague, the signature they'd planned to get. I demand to speak to this doctor. Dad, you're getting agitated, that's part of the problem, the nurses will give you something to calm down. Agitated, another word from their script. I heard Melissa's voice in the background, she was laughing. Put her on the phone. Dad, Melissa's busy. Put her on the phone now. A moment later Melissa's voice came through the speaker. Charles, you need to calm down. I'll never forget those words that came next. Calm down? You people drugged me and dumped me in a nursing home. Charles, we've sold your house. The words hit me like a physical blow. You what? We sold your condo, you don't need that big place anymore, the money will pay for your care here. Sold, Past tense, already done. You had no right. We had every right, power of attorney, remember? Melissa's voice was getting sharper, more confident. We found a lovely buyer, a young couple with children. They'll actually use the space properly. Use the space properly, like I was wasting it by living in my own home. How much? My voice was barely a whisper. 1.5 million, not bad for a place you bought for 60,000. 1.5 million, my life's work, my security, gone. Timothy got back on the phone. Face it, old man, you're done. Old man, not dad, not father, old man. The phone went quiet except for their laughter, both of them laughing. As I hung up, something inside me died and something else was born. Grandpa. Zoe's voice on the phone, sweet 16-year-old Zoe with Sarah's smile. Zoe, sweetheart, thank God, can you help me understand? Grandpa, stop. Her voice was different, colder, older. Mom and Dad told me you might call. They said you'd try to guilt trip us. Guilt trip? A 16-year-old using manipulation tactics. Honey, I'm not trying to guilt trip anyone, I just want to understand why. Because you're embarrassing, okay? The words cut deeper than anything Timothy or Melissa had said. Embarrassing? My friends don't want to come over anymore. You're always there asking questions, trying to be part of everything. It's weird. Weird, wanting to be part of my family's life was weird. And the money thing is just pathetic. You keep bringing up that loan like we owe you something. Loan? She knew about the 280,000. We don't owe you anything, Grandpa. You chose to give us money. That's what families do. Chose, like it was charity instead of love. Mom and Dad said you might try to make us feel bad, but we're done with that. Done with that, done with me. The line went dead, complete rejection from the granddaughter I'd loved like my own daughter. The phone rang again. Timothy. Dad, one more thing. His voice was different now, triumphant. Don't even think about fighting this. You signed everything over to me, power of attorney, remember? You're legally incompetent now, officially. Dr. Williams filed the paperwork this morning. Officially incompetent, a legal stamp on my worthlessness. The house sale is final, papers were signed yesterday, wire transfer went through this morning. Wire transfer, they'd already moved the money. And just so we're clear, your credit cards are cancelled, your bank accounts are closed, everything flows through me now. Everything flows through me now, complete financial control. You want to know the best part, Dad? I didn't answer. You paid for all of it, the lawyer fees, the doctor's evaluation, the nursing home deposit, all charged to your account before we closed it. I paid for my own kidnapping. Enjoy your new home, Dad, it's the only one you'll ever have. The line went dead. But there were 3 things they didn't know about their old man. I sat in that beige room for 3 hours thinking, planning, remembering. The Sony recorder was still in my pocket, still running, 6 months of conversations, 6 months of evidence. But that wasn't the first thing they didn't know. The second thing was hidden in my wallet, a business card I'd kept for 30 years, James Wellington, attorney at law, my old friend from the engineering firm, the man who'd handled Sarah's will, the man who'd helped me set up something very special 2 weeks ago. But the third thing was the biggest. Timothy thought he had power of attorney over everything I owned. He was wrong. I pulled out my phone, my personal phone, not the one they'd updated, and dialed James's number. Charlie, Jesus, I was worried. Are you okay? I'm ready, James. You sure? Once we do this there's no going back. I looked around the nursing home room, smelled the disinfectant, thought about their laughter. I'm sure. Okay, give me 3 hours. I wasn't just a father anymore, I was an engineer, and engineers always have backup plans. By morning everything would change. That night I didn't sleep, I sat by the window and planned. Engineers solve problems, we analyze systems, find weaknesses, design solutions. My family thought they'd outsmarted me, they thought I was just a confused old man who'd handed them everything on a platter, they forgot what I did for a living. For 43 years I designed structures that could withstand earthquakes, hurricanes, and time itself. I built things to last, including legal structures. The power of attorney they were so proud of, it had a sunset clause, 380 days from the date I signed it. I'd signed it on March 15th. Today was September 18th. They had exactly 3 days before it expired automatically. But here's what Timothy didn't read in those 12 pages of legal language. The sunset clause wasn't the only protection I'd built in, there was something else, something I'd insisted James add after Sarah died, a fail-safe. If I was ever declared incompetent or committed to institutional care against my will, the power of attorney became null and void immediately. Dr. Williams signing that paperwork hadn't made them more powerful, it had made their power of attorney worthless. I wasn't just an engineer, I was an engineer who'd spent 40 years reading contracts. I wasn't just a father anymore, I was an engineer who always had backup plans. The second thing they didn't know was bigger. 2 weeks ago, while they were planning my disposal, I'd been planning my own backup system. I'd created the Morrison Family Trust. 80% of my assets, including my condo, had been transferred into that trust before I ever signed their power of attorney. Timothy's power of attorney only covered the remaining 20%. The house they'd sold, they had no legal authority to sell it. The buyers they'd found, they were about to discover they'd purchased a property from someone who didn't own it. The $1.5 million they thought they'd stolen, it was about to disappear from their accounts faster than they could spend it. The Morrison Family Trust had one trustee, James Wellington, and one beneficiary, the Morrison Foundation for Elder Advocacy, a charity I'd established in Sarah's memory. Timothy thought he was inheriting my life's work. Instead, he was about to become the poster child for everything wrong with elder abuse. The trust documents were sitting in James's safe, had been for 2 weeks. All I had to do was say the word, execute the plan. This wasn't revenge, this was consequences. The third call I made was to my real doctor, Dr. Patricia Hensley, my physician for 12 years. Charlie, where are you calling from? I got a strange report that you'd been diagnosed with dementia. Dr. Hensley, I need you to listen carefully. I told her everything, the forced medication, the false diagnosis, Dr. Williams signing paperwork for a patient he'd never examined. Charlie, this is medical fraud. Dr. Williams could lose his license. I'm going to need you to document my mental state. When can you come in? How about right now? She met me at her office at 11 p.m., ran every cognitive test in the book, MMSE score 30 out of 30, perfect, clock drawing test normal, memory assessment excellent. Charlie, you're sharper than most 50-year-olds, there's no evidence of any cognitive decline. She wrote a detailed report, signed and dated it, medical evidence that I was completely competent, evidence that would destroy Dr. Williams's fraudulent diagnosis, evidence that would expose Melissa's role in the conspiracy. I had the recordings, I had the legal structures, now I had the medical proof. By morning my family would discover they'd underestimated the wrong man. Morning came with a plan. At 9 a.m. James Wellington walked into Sunset Manor carrying a briefcase and wearing the expression of a man about to ruin someone's day. Charlie, you ready for this? I've been ready for 20 years. James pulled out the trust documents, official, notarized, dated 2 weeks before my power of attorney signing. The Morrison Family Trust is now active, all assets previously under your personal ownership are now under trust protection. He handed me a phone. Your son's about to get a very interesting call from his real estate attorney. At 9:15 Timothy's phone rang. The buyer's attorney had discovered the title problem. Timothy had sold property he didn't own, the sale was void, the $1.5 million wire transfer was being reversed immediately, Timothy was facing breach of contract charges and potential fraud prosecution. At 9:30 James filed the police report, elder abuse, financial exploitation, conspiracy to commit fraud, medical kidnapping. The recorder evidence was submitted as Exhibits A through L, 6 months of conversations, every word, every plan, every cruel laugh. At 9:45 we filed the restraining order. Timothy, Melissa, and Zoe were prohibited from contacting me or coming within 500 feet of my person or property. Any violation meant immediate arrest. At 10 a.m. Dr. Patricia Hensley filed her report with the State Medical Board. Dr. Williams had signed a dementia diagnosis for a patient he'd never examined based on the recommendation of a nurse, Melissa, who had a personal financial interest in the outcome, medical fraud, professional misconduct, patient endangerment. Dr. Williams's license was suspended pending investigation. Melissa's nursing certification was flagged for review. At 10:30 the IRS received an anonymous tip about unreported income. Timothy and Melissa had deposited $1.5 million without proper documentation, audit triggered automatically. At 11 a.m. the recordings went public. James's paralegal uploaded them to a YouTube channel, Elder Abuse Evidence, 6 hours of the most damning conversations you've ever heard. He's becoming a burden, the old man won't even notice, just keep him confused, face it, old man, you're done. The videos went viral in 3 hours, local news picked them up by evening. By midnight Timothy's employer had seen them. His boss called him at home. Timothy, we've seen the recordings, we can't have someone capable of elder abuse representing our company. He was fired the next morning. But I wasn't done yet. The house sale collapse triggered a domino effect. Timothy had already spent $400,000 of the money they thought they'd stolen, new cars, credit card payments, a down payment on a vacation home in Florida. When the $1.5 million was clawed back, their bank accounts went negative immediately, overdraft fees, bounce check charges, credit card companies demanding payment, the mortgage on their dream house, The one I'd funded with $280,000 went into default. The bank started foreclosure proceedings, the vacation home purchase fell through, they lost their deposit, the 2 new cars were repossessed. In one day they went from thinking they were millionaires to facing bankruptcy. But the legal consequences were just beginning. The district attorney's office opened a criminal investigation: elder abuse in the first degree, financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult, conspiracy, medical fraud, identity theft. Each charge carried potential prison time. Timothy faced up to 15 years, Melissa faced 10 years plus loss of professional license. The case made the front page of the local newspaper. Local family accused of elaborate elder abuse scheme. Their neighbors saw it, their friends saw it, Timothy's clients saw it. Social humiliation on top of legal devastation. The financial investigation revealed everything: 3 years of unauthorized transactions on my accounts, $47,000 in credit card charges I'd never approved, $23,000 in cash withdrawals using my PIN, $15,000 in forged checks, the total theft $385,000 plus the attempted house sale. The bank fraud unit built a timeline: every transaction, every lie, every manipulation. Timothy's gambling debts were exposed: $67,000 owed to online casinos, Melissa's credit card addiction, $34,000 in luxury purchases hidden from her husband, the business investment that failed. There was no business. Timothy had used my $150,000 to pay gambling debts, the college fund for Zoe. They'd already spent it on themselves. Every dollar I'd given them out of love had been stolen through lies. The evidence was overwhelming. James filed civil suits for full recovery plus damages, triple damages for elder abuse, punitive damages for fraud. We were suing for $1.2 million, their house, their cars, their retirement accounts, everything. Even if they declared bankruptcy, certain debts couldn't be discharged. Restitution for elder abuse was permanent. They would be paying me back for the rest of their lives. The story went national. CNN picked it up. Fox News ran a segment. The Today Show wanted an interview. Engineer's secret recording exposes family's elder abuse plot. The YouTube videos had 3 million views in a week. Comments poured in from families with similar experiences. This happened to my father. Thank you for fighting back. Every elder abuse victim should see this. I became the face of elder advocacy, speaking engagements, support group visits, legislative testimony. The Morrison Foundation for Elder Advocacy, funded with my reclaimed assets, became a national organization. Timothy's name became synonymous with family betrayal. Melissa's nursing colleagues avoided her. Her professional reputation was destroyed. Zoe's high school classmates had seen the videos, heard her voice on the recordings. "Grandpa, you're embarrassing, we don't owe you anything." She was 16 years old and already known as the granddaughter who helped steal from her grandfather. Her college applications were affected. Background checks revealed the family scandal. The old life they tried to steal from me had become their nightmare. But there was one more surprise coming. On October 15th, I walked out of Sunset Manor for the last time. James had found me a beautiful apartment overlooking Riverside Park, the same park where Sarah and I used to walk on Sunday mornings. I changed my phone number, changed my email address, set up mail forwarding to James's office. Complete communication blackout. Timothy tried calling my old number, disconnected. Melissa sent emails, bounced back. They drove to my condo, the one they tried to sell, new locks, security system. No forwarding address. I disappeared from their lives as completely as they tried to make me disappear from mine. The restraining order made sure they couldn't find me. 500 feet minimum distance. Any violation meant immediate arrest. For the first time in 3 years I felt safe, safe from their manipulation, safe from their greed, safe from their lies. I furnished my new apartment with things I chose, colors I liked, furniture that made me comfortable. No more walking on eggshells, no more second-guessing every word. No more family dinners where I was made to feel like a burden. I learned the difference between loving and enabling. I reconnected with my real friends: Jim Harrison from the engineering firm, Mike Chen from my college days, people who knew me before I became a victim. "Charlie, we tried to call you, your son said you were sick." "Charlie, we sent cards, your son returned them undeliverable." "Charlie, we thought you didn't want to see us anymore." But Timothy had systematically isolated me from everyone who cared about me. But isolation works both ways. Now he was the one cut off from my money, my love, my forgiveness. I started volunteer work with the Elder Advocacy Foundation, helping other seniors who'd been financially exploited by family members, teaching people to recognize the warning signs I'd missed: trust but verify, love doesn't require giving up your autonomy, family loyalty goes both ways. Every case I helped solve felt like justice for my own experience. Every elder I helped protect felt like honoring Sarah's memory the right way, not by enabling ungrateful children but by standing up for those who couldn't stand up for themselves. I found purpose again, dignity again, self-respect again. 3 days later the phone rang one last time, the caller ID showed unknown number. I almost didn't answer but something made me pick up. Grandpa, Zoe's voice, barely a whisper. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. She was crying. Everyone at school has seen the videos, everyone knows what we did to you. What we did? She included herself. My friends won't talk to me, my boyfriend broke up with me, the colleges have all seen it too. Consequences reaching the third generation. Mom and dad are getting divorced, dad's drinking all the time, mom lost her job. The family was imploding. I understand if you hate me, I understand if you never want to see me again. For the first time in months Zoe sounded like the granddaughter I remembered, vulnerable, honest, sorry. But I want you to know I know what we did was wrong, I know you loved us and we threw it away. I was 16 and stupid but that's not an excuse, I knew right from wrong, I chose wrong. I'm not asking for money, I'm not asking for forgiveness, I know I don't deserve either, but I wanted you to know that I understand now what real love looks like. Real love doesn't steal, real love doesn't abandon. Real love doesn't laugh when someone is broken, real love is what you gave us for 3 years. And real love is what we threw away. If there's any part of you that could consider giving me a chance to earn back even a small piece of your trust, one would spend the rest of my life proving I'm not the person I was in those recordings. I miss you, Grandpa, I miss my real grandpa. The line went quiet except for her crying. I had a choice to make, permanent estrangement or conditional mercy. Sometimes the greatest act of love is saying no, but sometimes it's saying maybe. The call came at 3 a.m. on November 2nd, Timothy's voice slurred, desperate. Dad, please. He was drunk, crying. Please Dad, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Too late for sorry. The house is gone, the cars are gone, Melissa left me, took Zoe and moved in with her sister. Actions have consequences. I'm living in a motel, 1 room, $60 a night, I can't afford it much longer. The same man who'd laughed when he told me I was done. My lawyer says I might go to prison, 5 to 10 years for elder abuse. The same man who'd called me legally incompetent. Dad, I know I don't deserve it but could you help me one more time? One more time. After stealing $385,000 he wanted me to give him more money. I made a mistake, a terrible mistake, but I'm still your son. My son, not my old man. My son, please don't let me go to prison, please. For 30 seconds I felt the old pull, the old instinct to rescue him, then I remembered his laughter on the phone, his voice calling me a burden, his plan to dispose of me. Timothy. Yes, Dad. Actions have consequences. I hung up. The divorce papers were filed 2 weeks later, Melissa versus Timothy Mitchell, irreconcilable differences. She was cutting ties with the sinking ship. Timothy's criminal trial was scheduled for January, 3 felony counts. Melissa's professional license hearing was in December. The medical board had finished their investigation. Dr. Williams had already lost his license permanently. Melissa was facing the same fate. No license meant no nursing job. No nursing job meant no career. At 39 she was starting over with a scandal following her everywhere. Background checks would reveal the elder abuse conviction. Employers would Google her name and find the viral videos. The old man won't even notice. Face it, old man, you're done. Her own words preserved forever. Timothy's sentencing came first, 5 years in state prison, full restitution ordered, $385,000 plus court costs and punitive damages. The judge's words were harsh. Elder abuse represents one of the most despicable crimes in our society. The betrayal of trust between generations strikes at the heart of family bonds. Timothy's mugshot made the front page again, local man sentenced for elder abuse scheme. They lost everything they thought they'd gained. 6 months later the letter arrived, handwritten, careful penmanship, a girl trying to sound mature. Dear Grandpa, I know I don't have the right to write to you. I know I said terrible things and helped hurt you in ways I can't take back. I'm 18 now, legal adult. I've moved out of Mom's house and I'm working 2 jobs to pay for community college. I couldn't afford the big universities anyway, not after what we did. I've been thinking about you every day for 8 months, about how you loved us and we betrayed that love. I was 16 and stupid, but that's not an excuse. I knew right from wrong. I chose wrong. I'm not asking for money. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I know I don't deserve either, but I wanted you to know that I understand now what real love looks like. Real love doesn't steal, real love doesn't abandon, real love doesn't laugh when someone is broken, real love is what you gave us for 3 years, and real love is what we threw away. If there's any part of you that could consider giving me a chance to earn back even a small piece of your trust, one would spend the rest of my life proving I'm not the person I was in those recordings. I miss you, Grandpa. I miss the man who taught me to fish and helped me with algebra and always made sure I felt safe. I know he might be gone forever because of what I did, but if he's still there, could you tell him I'm sorry? Love, Zoe. For the first time in a year I cried. I kept Zoe's letter. 3 weeks later I wrote back. Dear Zoe, sorry is a start but trust is earned through actions not words. If you're serious about making amends, here's what you need to do. Graduate from community college with honors, get a degree in something that helps people not hurts them, volunteer 20 hours a month with elder advocacy organizations, learn what damage your actions did to other families, write a detailed apology letter to every person affected by our family's scandal, your father's employer, your mother's patients, Dr. Williams's other patients, own your part completely, do all of this for 2 years then call me, maybe we can start to rebuild what was broken, love earned not given, Grandpa. She called exactly 2 years later, she'd kept every condition, we're having coffee next week, some relationships can be salvaged, some cannot, wisdom is knowing the difference. I still keep the Sony ICD, PX470 recorder on my desk, not because I'm paranoid, because it reminds me of an important lesson. Love without boundaries becomes exploitation. Trust without verification becomes victimhood, kindness without limits becomes enabling. I loved my family, I trusted them completely, I gave them everything they asked for and they planned to dispose of me like garbage. Now they're facing the consequences of their choices and I'm living with the peace that comes from setting boundaries. Sometimes the greatest act of love is saying no. Remember, love without boundaries becomes betrayal waiting to happen.